So in a market like this, where it's a seller's market, people are putting their homes on the market in terrible condition. So, buyers walk through and they've been through 8 homes and the maintenance is bad, it's dated, and then they come to that one house that is updated and looks great. They're going to plop down more money for that house.
Hi, I'm Wade Hansen. I've been selling luxury real estate in Minnesota and Wisconsin for over 23 years. My entire career has been spent protecting my clients from misinformation and unethical practices by those not looking out for their best interests. This podcast will give you the raw truth about everything real estate so you can make solid, informed decisions about the biggest investment of your lifetime. This is the Raw Real Estate Podcast.
Sharon, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
No problem.
We've been doing business together, I think about 10 years now, maybe a little bit more. And as you know, and as I've mentioned to you and to a lot of people, I think there's 3 reasons a home doesn't sell. I think 1 is price. I think 2 is its condition. Mm-hmm. And 3 is the agent they work with. And I think condition is one of those things that people have kind of given up on during COVID. I think it's become so easy to sell homes that they've just said, we don't need to change this or stage that. I have, for every one of my listings, through and through, regardless of the sale price, regardless of its condition, always believed that we should have at least a staging consultation, if not a full-blown staging setup. And so you've seen every one of my listings, and I believe, and statistically, you might even have this fact, I believe that homes sell for anywhere from 3 to 5% more if they're staged. So, and I've seen that this year. My listings on average have sold for about 106% of list price. And a lot of that is because of you and what you do. So tell me a little bit about your background, how you got into staging.
Sure. I have an interior design degree from the U of M. And from there, I went into corporate design. So I designed headquarters like Polaris, Allianz, things like that. But then when my kids were little, I couldn't handle, 40, 50, 60-hour work weeks. So I went and worked for a real estate broker, friend of ours, just in the office, doing office stuff. Ended up with my real estate license just to help with paperwork, show houses, do some of that stuff. And showed some houses and was shocked. Like, people really show their houses this way. Stuff all over, clutter, dated, didn't care. Yeah. About that time, HGTV started a design staging show. So people in the Midwest didn't even know what staging was. Yeah. So when this show came on, it was kind of this introduction to something new here. And I thought, I'm going to start. So started our business right away. Staged maybe 40 homes that first year. My husband is part of my business too, so him and I staged our first vacant home with living room furniture out of our living room. It was new, so we put it in somebody's house. We bought a dining table, and here, 18 years later, we stage about 400 homes a year.
Wow.
We have a full warehouse full of furniture.
Wow, it's really snowballed for you.
Yeah.
So you start every staging with a consultation. I always laugh. There's a lot of agents in this business that will sit down at a kitchen table with a seller and say, I can do it all for you, right? I can stage for you. And I see agents posting on social media, I'm heading out to a staging consult, and they've got their, vehicle full of plants and chairs, and they think they know how to stage. And, whenever I sit across the kitchen table from my clients, I always say, I'm the last guy you want staging your home. I can sell, I can market, I can negotiate, but I can't stage. And I think any agent that thinks they're a good real estate agent and good stager at the same time is completely wrong and just isn't going to have success in this business. So when you start with that staging consultation, why and what does it entail?
Sure. So every home is different. Completely different. Staging is not a one-size-fits-all. So when I go in and I meet with clients, I'm kind of looking at their motivation too. Have they already bought their next house and they need to get out fast and they don't want a couple mortgage payments? Or do they have time? They're selling in a year. They want to do all the updates. They want to get the equity out of their house. So I know their goals as well as the real estate agent's goals, of course. And then I walk through the house with them. They give me a tour. I'm looking at the things in their house that are going to make it sell. So the amenities, the big rooms, things like that. I'm also getting an overall feel for the layout of the home, what rooms should look like, how they should function. And then after that tour, I go back through by myself and I go through each room with a lot of detail. What furniture needs to go where, how things need to be decluttered. Do they need paint? Do they need carpet? Do they need some light fixtures? And I put all of this in a report for them and give it to them while we're there. A world of instant gratification, so they get everything immediately. And sometimes people are 90% of the way there. Like you said, I go into homes that don't need a lot. So one of my favorite things actually with staging is when I can go into a home, no report. I just go into each room, declutter for them, move some things around. Some people are stunned that their stuff could look so good.
Yeah.
That's the love of staging for me.
I'd imagine you get some pushback sometimes. I know I've had sellers call me sometimes and say, well, she wants me to do this, she wants me to do that. And I always say, just trust in Sharon, right? I mean, we're trying to make things look good through the lens of a camera, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really their first showing. It's online. And I know it's hard because it's their personal space, and now you've adjusted their personal space. Do you get a lot of pushback sometimes?
Of course. There's some people that they think how they have it is the way it should be and can't see past that or can't see why I'm suggesting the changes for buyers. But generally, I try to preface all that with why I'm doing it. Here's what the room looks from the photography standpoint, from first impression standpoint. And when I'm there, I prioritize things for them too. So they don't have to do everything. The most important things are going to be a high priority, and I hope that they do those.
Sure. So you do the initial consult, you give them some kind of, I call it homework, that's how I refer to them as clients, and then you return to the home typically, right?
Yep.
What does that look like?
So sometimes it's just going in right before photos, making sure everything's in the right spot. Accessorizing is really hard for most people, so I usually do some accessorizing. I make beds really pretty, just look at every room from the eye of the photography.
Okay. And what are some of maybe the biggest mistakes homeowners make when they're getting their home ready to sell?
Most people know the basic things. Remove personal photos, clean, declutter, that kind of stuff. But sometimes I do get pushback on the bigger things. I don't want to paint, I don't want to do carpet because the buyers are, they're going to do what they want to do.
Right.
The problem is a lot of buyers, you hand them a paint deck or send them into a flooring store and their anxiety goes up. They know what they like because of Instagram, Houzz, Pinterest, HGTV. They see what they like and they know it, but they don't know how to get there. Right. And a lot of buyers of your homes, they're not the first time home buyers with rose-colored glasses, thinking they can go in and turn a dated house into their dream home. They're buyers that have been in that house, that the projects have sat undone for years and years because they're working full time, they're shuffling kids here and there. They're buying the dream of not having to work on a house.
Yeah. Most of my homes and most of my buyers of those homes don't want a fixer-upper, right? They don't want to go in. And I think you're right. Buyers can't really see beyond. They walk in, they see gross, dated, worn-out carpet. They can't see beyond that, and they just get hung up on that one bad thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's always important, no matter the market conditions, to take care of those details, stage the home, and you're typically going to get a lot more for your home. So, your services, and I've always believed in this white glove service and providing that to my clients, and your services to my clients are always complimentary. I know you do staging for other agents. Are you seeing that with other agents as well?
Not always.
Okay.
I remember when I interviewed with you, I came in and we were talking about how these services would happen, how we'd kind of walk through the process. And you were talking like you were going to pay for these things. And I think I even said, wait, what? You're going to pay for things beyond the consultation? Because most realtors don't. The consultation that's all they pay for. If the buyers want or the sellers want anything else, then they're paying me directly.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest shock for me.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah. And I think my sellers appreciate it, and I think that white glove service that we're able to provide our clients definitely differentiates my team in this marketplace. And I think that, frankly, I think all agents should offer that. I think that's just part of what we do, and it's part of how we market homes, right? So,
yeah, most agents, they look at their commission, and that's their commission, and
right.
anything that they take out of that takes away from their income. But I think you look at it as that commission is there to sell the house. I have to use a percentage of it to sell this house.
Yep.
And I think it's just a different mindset.
Yeah, and the more money I can make for them, the more money I can make, the happier they are, the more people they tell about, us and that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
So does every home have to be what I call Instagram worthy? Does it have to be, perfect?
Yes and no. Instagram worthy, photography is one of the biggest things in listing a house. Everybody looks at the online photos before they go to the house. And there are easy things that people can do to make that photography look better. Things that cost no money, the decluttering, the moving furniture around, little things like that. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be that house out of, HGTV where it's all the exact current colors and the furniture that's totally on trend. Especially in this market where we're seeing a shift, it's important for sellers to get their home on the market while it's still a seller's market. So I do look at staging more strategically for them.
Have you seen COVID change staging, and has that affected how your process works? I know we're kind of hopefully light at the end of the tunnel here, but
I hope so too. Home offices have changed dramatically. It used to be I would only suggest one office, so I was telling people to take out an office, just have one to showcase, and now two is better for
Right,
sure.
right.
So definitely we're suggesting two offices at least in every house.
You've adjusted and adapted to the needs of the current consumer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think the general consumer, what do you wish they maybe knew about staging that they don't know?
It's really hard work. Running a staging business is just like any other business.
Yeah.
I'm not an interior decorator. I'm not a pillow fluffer. I look at homes in the light of what a buyer wants. So it's really analytical when I go into a house and try to figure out exactly what we need to do.
How do you see this changing if the market changes? So there's a lot of talk out there right now that the market's changing. Where we're going to maybe get into more of a balanced market, more of a, normal market. How do you see this staging in your business changing as we enter into this kind of new phase of real estate?
Yeah, it's been fun over the last 18 years. I've got to see the ups and downs of the market, and we've always been busy. It doesn't really change too much. Our clientele changes a little bit. So, in 2007, 8, whenever the stock market crashed, and we had banks as customers.
Oh,
they
wow.
were having us stage homes. So we've kind of seen it all. So in a market like this, where it's a seller's market, people are putting their homes on the market in terrible condition. So, buyers walk through and they've been through 8 homes and the maintenance is bad, it's dated, and then they come to that one house that is updated and looks great. They're going to plop down more money for that house. So in this market, that's great. In a balanced market, in a buyer's market, of course, staging is going to put that house above the rest.
Yeah. So I want to shift gears just a little bit because you bring a pretty unique perspective, I think, to not only staging but the real estate industry, because you have a staging background but also a real estate background.
Yes, and my husband does too. We were both real estate
So you've been in the
agents for a while.
trenches in both, right? You've seen both. What do you think separates a good agent from a great agent, from a good agent? What separates a great agent from a good agent in this market and in any market? Because you work with a lot of agents. And where's that differentiator that you see out there that maybe separates good from great?
Sure. I don't see the perspective of everything that agents do for their clients, but in the perspective of staging, the agents that are hiring us for every one of their listings, regardless, are successful. I can see it. They do, 10s, 20s, 30s of houses every year. The realtors that call us, once or twice a year, I've got this house that really needs you. Mm-hmm. They're not doing the volume that the agents are.
They're doing onesies, twosies, and for friends and relatives, and they just don't get it, right? That it's just not a business to them; it's a hobby to them.
Yeah.
What do you wish the consumer knew about my business? You talked a little bit about your business and what you wish they knew about your business. What do you wish they knew about my business? Since you've been in it and you see what we do on a daily basis, what do you wish that they were more aware of? I always talk to people that again, we talked about HGTV. Everybody thinks that we throw lavish parties and collect big commission checks, and that's really what we do, right? And drive fancy cars and so on and so forth. But what do you think they don't know and what they're missing about our business?
I said that stagers work hard. Realtors work way harder. That's why I'm a stager. I'm not a realtor. You know, I can work 9 to 5. Realtors are on all the time. Yeah. You guys also have the whole legal part of contracts. That's not easy. There's so much knowledge there. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, the legal part has changed a lot too. I've been doing this 23 years, and it's changed so much. Our purchase agreement has gone from like 6 pages to like 26 pages, and I see so many, like we talked about, the dabblers in the industry that just don't understand what their clients are signing on a daily basis, and they're trying to do some of these large transactions, and I don't think their clients understand or they understand what they're signing, and it's scary. Frankly, I think it's really scary.
Yep.
So I always like to wrap up my podcasts with one question. And I think you've watched some of my episodes. You know me, I study success. I like to one of the benefits of this podcast is to be around others that have had a lot of success. You're obviously doing 400 homes a year, staging. You've had a tremendous amount of success for what you do. Is there one thing that you could attribute to that success?
I have a couple things.
Okay.
Passion, I think, is great. If you love what you do, if you get out of bed in the morning, you're going to make it work. You're going to do the hard parts of business, because even though staging for me is fun, I'm passionate about it, there's some parts of the business that are hard. Yeah. And luckily my husband, Dan, does the finance part and lots of the stuff that I don't do. I would also say, faith is very important in my life. So biblical principles are just key. Honesty, integrity, teaching or treating people like you want to be treated, I think is key. But I would say at this time in my life that success in business was great. You know, it provided for our family. It's, helping us with retirement, that kind of stuff. But true success, I believe, is having great relationships with family and friends and knowing I made a difference in the world. Passion
and strong values, I think it's really, really important. And I think that's something that anybody in any industry, if they have those two things, can have a lot of success. So,
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for me and my team, and thank you for being here and taking the time. This is really helpful, and I look forward to many, many more years to come.
Me too.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Raw Real Estate Podcast. If you have any feedback for this episode or want to suggest a future topic or even possible guests, head to wadehansen.com. There you can get links to my Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see the video version of this podcast too. Again, thank you for listening to the Raw Real Estate Podcast. We'll talk soon.